Good morning, all of you. Myself Sachin from BEA, and as we have scheduled this program to improving Bihar with AI, and we have a developed AI Center of Excellence for the improving Bihar. So we have two guests today. One is Brijesh Giri. He is from IIT BTech and MTech from IIT Kharagpur, and another one is Sumit Ji from IIT Bombay. So I think there's an issue with the camera with Brijesh Giri. Hello, am I audible?
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. I am audible.
Yeah.
So there, your camera is off. Could you please on your camera?
Sachin, I'm having some problem with my camera. I think can you see for now? So let me check.
Okay. And the same link you can join through mobile also. Keep it on laptop and you can join through mobile if there is any problem in the camera.
I think we can proceed further with Sumit ji, if it's fine for you. Hello.
Yes. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So basically, let me
Okay, just
introduce
one second.
Mr. So, good morning, everyone. This is Himanshu from Artificial Intelligence Center of Excellence. So, basically, we are having today two speakers, Mr. Sumit Sekhar and Mr. Brajesh Giri. So, we will continue.
Yeah. It is
Oh, yeah. Hello. Okay, so let's start, Mr. Sumit sir. You can share your screen here.
Okay, just one second.
Yeah.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah. Go on.
Okay. So, yeah, hello everyone. So, I'm Sumit Shekhar. So, I'm a research scientist in Adobe Research at Bangalore, India labs. So, today I will be giving a brief overview of artificial intelligence work which we are doing at Adobe Research in Bangalore, and overall in Adobe, what kind of work happens, and how innovation happens inside Adobe regarding different kind of artificial intelligence problems. So you can hear my voice, right?
Yeah, it's audible.
Yeah. So okay. Uh, so you must have heard Adobe from different places. So I mean, some popular software from Adobe include PDF Acrobat, and then there is thing called Photoshop or Illustrator or Adobe Premiere. So Adobe is, I mean, actually one of the largest software companies in the world, and it's around 37 countries, it's around 22,000 employees, and it files lots of patents every year. So it's like 4,500 patents are filed, have been filed by Adobe, and the revenue of Adobe in 2018 was around $9 billion. Now it has grown significantly more than that. happened in artificial intelligence. So uh, basically, what you're seeing here are three icons. So the first icon is called the Creative Cloud. So basically, Adobe is now a cloud company. So everything is on cloud, and so there are three clouds offering from Adobe right now. One is this Creative Cloud, which is a suite of all the products related to creativity and related to creative artists like Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, Premiere Pro, and then there are lots of mobile apps which are also available for Creative Cloud now, which are being released. And then I think recently there was a new release called Photoshop Camera, which allows you to take photographs with lots of filters and all those things directly integrated with the camera itself. So that's all part of Creative Cloud. The second icon you see is of PDF, the document cloud. So this includes primarily the PDF format and all the offerings around documents. So essentially, basically, right now, I mean, Adobe was the creator of PDF format. So PDF has been in existence for 25 years now. So basically, now there are about, I mean, every month, like around 1 billion PDFs get created in different devices across the world. And overall, if you see like 30% of documents on the web, like the overall internet is around PDF or PDF documents. So, and was the kind of company which invented PDF format. So Adobe has the strongest PDF offering, which is called Document Cloud, which includes not only the Acrobat viewer, which is the free one, but also there's an editor for Acrobat. And then there is called Document Cloud, which allows you to sync documents across different devices. And then there's called Adobe Sign, which is basically for enterprise, where people who are signing documents can do it digitally now and then send across different parts of to different people for signing and also reviewing the documents. So that is all part of Document Cloud. And the third one is Marketing Cloud, which is actually the newest offering from Adobe. So this is a suite of products which is dealing with digital marketing and analytics, web analytics. So the main two offerings here are, one is Adobe Analytics, which is basically a web analytics solution which is run by many e-commerce platforms and major retailers across the world, like Disney, or I think Flipkart in India runs on Adobe Analytics. So this basically is providing collecting data from different interactions which the customer is having on website, and all the clicks and click logs, everything gets stored, and essentially it gets available to the customer who is purchasing Adobe Analytics product. The second biggest offering of Marketing Cloud is Adobe Experience Manager, which is basically kind of like end-to-end website management system. So the biggest client, for example, is Apple. So Apple is built in Adobe AEM, and they have different kinds of things like content asset management systems, and then the front end designing and all kinds of things, and then obviously AI for different kind of content writing and editing for different types of personas like marketers or website creators. So these are the two biggest one, and then there are other things like email marketing. There's one solution called Campaign. Then there's this thing called Primetime, which is basically used for hosting videos. Like I think Hotstar used to be a Primetime customer. I'm not sure if there are or not, but many of these videos which are coming up on an OTT platform, they have been using Primetime for hosting video solutions. So it's an SDK for video playing and analytics. And there are some other things like Target and media optimizers, which are for running digital ads and optimizing different experiences on website. So these are like the main solutions. And if you see like the two words written here, empowering people to create and transforming businesses. So the first part is the Creative Cloud, which is the creation of different types of content. And the second part is of business enterprise, and then Document Cloud is basically sitting in between, because both customers and enterprises. So, so basically, in Adobe Research, we are a part of this team called Big Data Experience Lab. So basically, it's a lab in US and Bangalore, and essentially, we are looking into four different types of problems. So one is document intelligence, which is basically kind of extracting information from documents and extracting content or structure and different types of information which is present in the document for different types of documents as well. Then there's a content intelligence, which basically is kind of related to the experience manager or the AEM and e-commerce platforms where we want to optimize content like images or text and all kinds of things for website using artificial intelligence. Then customer intelligence is related to all the analytics problems. For example, detecting anomalies in your website or doing some kind of time series analysis. And then uh, things like doing causation modeling and all kinds of things. So, and then systems intelligence basically is optimizing the cloud part of everything. So that's the basic backbone of everything. And then there are lots of things like minimizing the latency and optimizing cache and storage and speeds, all kinds of things come there in systems intelligence. So if you see this, like, I mean, there are a lot of areas here. So basically, these are different kinds of areas which are basically which you can probably call as like different aspects of artificial intelligence, which like different companies are working on right now across the globe. And artificial intelligence, by definition, is a broad field, and it encompasses different types of content as well as different experiences. And then obviously, like the data and those things are there. So if you look at this area, so first is computer vision. So computer vision basically deals with everything related to images and videos, like inferencing from, like, for example, detecting objects, like is this a human face or not a human face, or what is the identity of this face, for example, is this Obama or whatever, Trump or something like that, like recognizing, doing face recognition from images or videos. Then like one aspect of that is very small aspect of this. Then there are lots of other things like doing super resolution of images, or like things like which are happening right now, which are like more synthesis models, like uh, I think if you are like things like deep fake. So basically, you synthesize something using computer vision techniques, and then it looks like something else. Like you can fit Obama's face in a song. Like I think few days back there was a song of Nitish Kumar and someone singing a song. So that was kind of a deep fake, which basically was synthesized by using some of the recent techniques in computer vision. So those are kind of like more of light use cases, but there are other serious use cases as well, like for example, self-driving or doing lots of structure analysis in images or documents. So those kinds of things are in computer vision. Then second part is natural language processing, which is basically related to text part. And text includes lots of things in text, like parsing the text and generating text, as well as things across languages. For example, right now most of literature is in English in NLP, but I mean, for example, in India, when Amazon came, so they did lots of things for Hindi and regional languages of India. So that's like expanding across languages. So all these different aspects of things come in natural language processing. So that's like another very broad area of artificial intelligence. And third is like document understanding. So it's related to NLP and computer vision, but there are some different aspects to it. Like for example, documents by themselves are not only text, or because there's also a structure. Like you, when you write something in a document, so you can give various styles to documents, or you can do different templates, or you can create like infographics or charts or visualization. So there are lots of different aspects in documents which needs to be understood. So that is part of document understanding. The third one is called HCI, which is like next generation human, I'm saying document, but in general computer interaction. So it's called human computer interaction. So that is another very big area of computer science, which basically studies the interaction of human beings with computer systems. So, for example, designing all kinds of interfaces and new kind of interface. For example, in your phone, you have like different components, like you have a keyboard or you have some screen of an app. So those are things of like UI, UX, and those aspects. So there are lots of studies which go around in designing those aspects, and then there's also a lot of principles which go on. So deriving those principles or coming up with new interfaces or studying how humans will react to certain types of things in an interface, like whether the button should be small or big, or so those kinds of things come in HCI. And then obviously this AI for systems and systems for AI, like both of things are actually different things. So AI for systems is basically like we're applying artificial intelligence for optimizing systems. For example, in cloud offerings, you would want to optimize different kinds of things like scheduling or optimizing, assigning tasks for systems. So that's AI for systems, and systems for AI are things like basically building AI systems. So now there are like lots of big architectures, like which have billions of parameters. So they're very big architecture. So you have things like GPUs and parallel processing and all kinds of things. So you would want to design systems for artificial intelligence, better systems. So that's systems for AI. And then I think these four things are related to data sciences. So basically things like causality. So causality is something like studying which factor caused which factor. So it's different from correlation. So where correlation is just studying things like, is this correlated? For example, Virat Kohli is whatever running out and then India is losing. So you can see lots of those kinds of correlations which come up in cricket, but those are not causal things. So causal is basically something which caused something else. So that's a different field of artificial intelligence which studies things which causes other things. So that's a one thing. And then time series of analysis is like studying all kinds of temporal things. Like you have people coming in on website. So how many people are coming on website by time, or how many people are buying certain things by time, or so there are lots of different kinds of series, time-based things which can happen. So this sort of time series, and then these two things are more of core artificial intelligence. So reinforcement learning and inverse reinforcement learning is basically teaching systems how to function over sets. For example, if you want to recommend something to a user, so for example, Netflix, they recommend lots of movies to people. So like optimizing what to recommend to users is kind of I mean, it's not exactly reinforcement, but like there are parts of reinforcement learning there. So you want to optimize things like how many, like maximum watch of a user. Like you don't want the user to leave or unsubscribe Netflix, so you want to keep those users inside your system. So and basically make them pay and not leave the payment. So like there's like one kind of metric which you would like to optimize for a system like Netflix. So you want to keep recommending different kinds of contents. So then you want to optimize this content recommendation. So this is like one aspect of reinforcement learning. I mean, the more common aspect is for robotics, where you would want to train robots or things like playing games like AlphaGo, or which I think Google showed a little bit time back, where they essentially showed that a machine can beat human. So that's part of like reinforcement learning. And last is explainable artificial intelligence. So basically, right now what is happening is like there are lots of these kinds of big models which are coming. So you'll want to know what is these models, how these models are performing, or why exactly these models are performing. So you will want to explain these black boxes. So that is called explainable artificial intelligence. So all these things are very broad topics in artificial intelligence, for which there are a lot of academic as well as research happening across different companies, and we also work in these areas. And then like these are different types of conferences on which papers get published in artificial intelligence, and these are mostly like worldwide conferences. For example, like AAAI is the premier conference on artificial intelligence. Then ACL is Amer Association of Computational Linguistics. So that's the conference on natural language processing. Then EMNLP is called empirical methods in natural language processing, which basically is new techniques in evaluating and developing NLP systems. So all these kinds of, and ICCV is International Conference on Computer Vision. So these are very highly rated conferences in which you want to publish so that you get recognition. So in right now from India, I think previously there was not used to be too many papers in these conferences. Like now, there are institutions coming up in India, I think including IIT Patna, which has been publishing in different conferences like this and getting papers there. So these are the places where you would want to show your advances in artificial intelligence. And so basically, just like towards the end of my talk. So I'll briefly give you some example of things on which we have worked on before, and like very short snippets of the research. So the first thing which I will show you is called video memorability. So this is a technique which we developed in Bangalore. So basically what it does is like it measures something called memorability, which is basically like after watching something or reading something, like what kind of things are you going to remember about that content. So we developed techniques which basically measures things about videos, like after watching a certain video, what kind of thing would you remember about that video. So I'll play this video and then you'll know why I'm saying it's a memorable thing. So you can see this video. So this is a video on YouTube.
Let's look at this video, which has been posted on YouTube by Viral Hawk channel.
So you will also hear my voice,
received
which I'm narrating.
28 million views. I believe what you short summary. What if I tell you an algorithm, and clearly it's memorable, and what we also show here is the memorability heat map, which captures the memorability score for each part of the original video, as you can see here. The key technology here is to measure what we called as video memorability. Marketers often struggle to find a metric to capture engagement.
So basically, this is the technique of measuring memorability in videos. And another thing which you can do with this is to basically produce things like video summaries. So basically producing short videos from a longer video. So for example, this video is of a cooking video, which is not very long, but it has some aspect which is which can be summarized. For example, this person is putting an onion ring here on top of it. So if you want to make a short summary of this video, so you would want to choose this part. So this is what the user has selected. So this is called the ground truth, which is like the basic thing in artificial intelligence, which is like collecting what the person would mark something as. And then there are some other things like baseline techniques, which is like basically a simple technique which you want to compare your method with. So basic technique, for example, here is like uniform sampling, where you would want to like just sample at certain interval in the video and then produce a short video out of it. And then what we have shown here is like memorable summary, which is what is produced by our algorithm, which basically captures the person putting the ring in the frame and ignores other parts. So I mean, we have other examples on which how memorability, for example, improves video summaries and producing video summaries from longer videos. And this is another project which we did in Adobe Research. So this was another interesting thing in which we are producing 3D scenes directly from text description. So I'll show you how it looks. So this is the text sentence on which you would want to, like you would just enter on an app, and then app basically shows an experience like this, which is directly produced from this natural text. So basically, it tries to parse this text into different kinds of into scenes, and then it produces these 3D models doing actions and sequence of actions, which basically describes that text. So this is another kind of problem in artificial intelligence. It's called like multimodal problem, where you would want to do things like convert text to image or image to text or caption an image or caption a video, or in this case, like it is producing a 3D scene, which is basically like 3D models interacting with each other with certain actions and placements, which you would like to infer from the text. So these are kind of inference problems in artificial intelligence, and then you synthesize these things. So this combination of both inference and synthesis. So yeah, so basically there are some small demos of the work which has been happening in our lab in Bangalore, as well as in Adobe Research. There are lots of other things like this which happen every year or every time. And one more thing which we want to introduce to audit, specifically for example, people in different colleges in Bihar, is like, so Adobe, we have been hosting this thing called Women in Technology Scholarship. So basically what it does is like, it's basically drives young women who are pursuing technology to apply for internship with Adobe, and then they apply, and then people who get, girls who get selected for this, like they get an internship offer at Adobe, and then they also get to present their work to different people in Adobe. So essentially so these are the benefits of this Women in Technology Scholarship. So basically I would like, for example, BA to popularize this, at least this technology scholarship among different colleges in Bihar, so that women who are studying there, they can apply for this and at least apply or get an experience of how these things work, because we don't get too many applications from different colleges in Bihar. So at least they can apply, and then if any other information is required about this, I'll be happy to share with BA. So yeah, with this I would like to end my talk, and if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, so like a very insightful discussion. I would like to have some questions from audience. So basically, first question I have got from Mr. Pablu Kumar here. He's asking that what are the role of artificial intelligence in the coming futures?
Yeah, so basically, artificial intelligence is going to come in every field in a few years. So
how it can be used in his career aid and all? How is it benefit to him?
yeah, so artificial intelligence is like a broad, like first you need to study maths, like that is the basic of artificial intelligence. Like you cannot just study artificial intelligence without doing maths. And
these students want to know like what would be the basic like knowledge, fundamental knowledge to gain these new technologies and all.
what will be the
Sorry, like these students want to know only what would the basic knowledge required to learn this technology.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like basically, so the basic techniques, like if you want to start learning, is like you should start with what you've learned in maths courses till +2, like linear algebra, matrix, and then there are things like optimization, which you should know. So optimization is related to calculus. So you must have studied calculus in your +2. So it is, there's a technique called gradient descent in calculus. So gradient descent is basically where you calculate differentiation of a function at a point, and then you would want to go in opposite direction to that differentiation so that the function gets minimized. So this is the basic of machine learning, of every model in machine learning. And everything which happens in machine learning is optimizing certain things around this. And then obviously there are lots of architecture and concepts which do. And other thing you should know is some basics of computer science, because most of it is about fast coding, like you should be hands-on in coding different architectures and exploring things. So machine learning by itself is like an exploration field, more like you have to learn by exploring and coding yourself.
Exactly.
So there are a lot of things which you need to know and practice. And the maths part is obviously tough, but the basic starts from your +2 maths, like the differentiation, calculus, and linear algebra. So this is the basic you want to know, and then apply in different fields. So application is the main part of artificial intelligence.
Okay. Okay. So one more question, what are the role of artificial intelligence in the agriculture sector?
Yeah. So right now I think agriculture is a different set of problems, but there are lots of different problems in agriculture. So for example, one is like you would want to, for example, automate certain machines in agriculture. For example, you do irrigation of things, or you want to do so you would want to, for example, identify where, or if you want to spray pesticide, for example, so you would want to identify where the crop is and where is the weed is, or where the plant you want to remove is. So there are startups which are doing very precise detection of weeds, and then just spraying pesticide on the weeds, not on the plant. So obviously you don't want to spray too much pesticide on crops, because that is going to give poison or inject poison into your foods. So you want to minimize the pesticide, but at the same time you want to kill the weeds. So you want to do a specific application. So that is one thing. The other thing is, for example, there are lots of startups which are doing sorting. Like once you have got rice, wheat, or tomato or potato, so you would want to remove rotten potatoes or rotten tomatoes, and then just retain the good potatoes or good tomato. So you would want to differentiate the good potato from the bad potato. So that is another application. So basically differentiating. So I think last year I went to National Institute of Engineering in Mysore. So there, this presentation was actually presented there. So they had a contest on which I was a judge. So basically, one of the contestant there. So they were working with the Silk Institute in Mysore to identify different kinds of worms. So if you go to, for example, silkworm, so there are 3 types of worms which can produce silk or something. Different types of things can produced by different types of worms. So, for example, you want to identify the male versus female worms, and then basically, so they were using machine learning to identify male versus female worms, for example. So there are lots of different kinds of classification problems which happen in agriculture. Then this sorting, for example, is another large-scale problem. We want to sort things or identify and remove certain things. So there are lots of supply chain problems in agriculture. Then obviously, if you want to go to, for example, market discovery or those kinds of things, so that's another set of problems where you would want to automate things like where's the best market for a certain crop. So we want to analyze the reason or analyze soil. So all these kinds of things can be fit into some AI problem. Yeah, so there's a lot of scope. And I think in India right now, there are not many companies working on these kinds of things. So
Yeah.
Exactly, Sundar Sekharji. I just want to know one thing from you. There are various software companies and startups in Bihar as well, who is working on the traditional software development platform, but they don't have much idea about the AI and the research of artificial intelligence and machine learnings. So what do you suggest how they can move forward to the AI directions?
Yeah, the basic thing about machine learning is it is different from this traditional software development cycle. So the first thing in machine learning is you would want to collect data, and you would want to establish some I mean, somewhere where you can collect the data. So in
I
traditional software, you don't go to data collection. There is no data collection in traditional software. You either, I
Yes, correct.
mean, one thing is like obviously you can, for example, build a website and then say, okay, I'm doing analytics on website. So that is one data collection, but that is like passive, like after you build the software. But we want to do active, like some new artificial intelligence problem. So you would first want to create a data pipeline. For example, you can go to different hospitals or talk to different hospitals or anything like health, any sector you want to start with. So agriculture or health or like, so ideally would first start with doing something called NDA. Like, I mean, data is kind of proprietary in machine learning. So you would want to have some kind of intellectual property over your data, or you would want to do something which is basically like new. So you would want to have agreement with the people who are providing the data. So that is the first step. And then once you have started getting the data, then you can start building system. So the pipeline is different. It's not traditional software in machine learning. So that's the main aspect of startups in artificial intelligence.
one more one more questions. Like most of the startups or people in Bihar, like they not keep their data well. Like how useful are those data today? Like what insight they can find from their data and all.
Yeah, so I think the main, like, you should only attack one or two problems. I think at some point, like, you don't collect data of everything together because you will not get anything out of the data. So I think one main thing is to have like some knowledge of what you're collecting, and then try to solve one specific problem, like rather than doing 10 at a time. You can demonstrate one thing which you can do production and then start earning some revenue.
Got it. Last question only, like what message you would give to the students, college students?
Yeah, so one message is like now the world has changed. Like it is not, yeah. So there's a lot of competition now. So I think you should be exposed to things like, I mean, at least at the India level, what things students are doing, like participating in Kaggle competition or doing at least coding competitions. You should participate so that you get a broad understanding of this arena. Like it's a very competitive arena right now, so should be prepared for that, and you should at least do projects and hands-on things rather than just doing courseworks. Like courseworks don't help much in these kinds of things. So you should do
Yeah,
as
yeah,
many projects as possible. Even if it's a small project, I think you should do a project, not a course that much.
yeah. So, just give the just any reference for them where they can find these all things and all, like how they can prepare for their future.
Yeah, so they can go to, for example, Kaggle, like Kaggle, and there are lots of competitions which are happening there. So they can start downloading a data set first. Like you will get lots of data set there, and then they'll have some code base also to start with. So most of the things have some code base. So to start with, they can just copy the code and just run it to understand what is happening there. Once they
Exactly.
start developing understanding, then they can start building on top of it or understanding more or building new things.
Okay. Okay.
So I think the first thing is to start, like how to start. I mean, starting is easy now, but you have to at least have that understanding and some kind of exposure to how to start in this artificial intelligence things.
This is a question on the screen I received again from audience.
Yeah, mind power, I don't think right now you can do. I mean, that is a very heuristic question. I mean, you can do mind power, but you have to define mind power first. What kind of mind power you want to do?
Exactly. Exactly. So, thanks a lot. It was very insightful session, and we hope to again continue with you in future.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, Sachin, we continue on.
Now we have the Brajesh Giri. As we said, he is BTech plus MTech IIT Kharagpur. He's working for a big banks and credit card providers in US, and he has a great experience in AI and machine learning, NLP, all those. He has developed a lot of softwares and he's doing a lot of creativity in AI. So I would like to just introduce Brajesh Giri. He will tell something about him and he will start the demonstrations. And one more thing, he is my elder brother.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thanks. Thanks Jane, for such a good introduction. So, hello everyone, and I would like to uh, start this by greeting everyone Happy New Year. And so, let me just share my screen. Let me know if screen is visible.
Yes, sure.
Is my screen visible?
Mm, yes,
Yeah, it's very
yes, your screen is visible.
Yeah. And I hope my slide in full screen mode.
Yeah.
So today I'm going to talk about artificial intelligence and the role that it is going to play in the fourth industrial revolution, which is currently going. So if we look at the evolution of the industries, so the first industrial revolution was mainly about the mechanization and the use of steam and water power. The next industrial revolution was around the mass production and the assembly line, right? When a lot of cars was needed to be produced, and then Henry Ford came up with this assembly line invention. The third industrial revolution, which was in recent years in 1970, started around 1970, and it was about using electronic systems, and a lot of it revolved around automation of the machinery used in the industry, right? But the current industry revolution that we are witnessing, which is industry 4.0, and which is going on today, right? And this revolution is is about full automation of the machines and using the data to create cyber physical systems. And the only power that we have to process large volume of data is artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is going to play a huge role in the current industrial revolution. It is a very exciting time to work in artificial intelligence. uh, we are redefining how we interact with machines and how we get things done in the first place, right? So so for the first time, actually, we are witnessing that that automation is not only possible of the physical labor, but also of mental labor, right? Where we are now starting to see that AI is automating white collar jobs, entry level white collar jobs in banks and in credit card institutions. Like I also work for a credit card institution, for a major credit card institution in US, and we are employing AI to process all our data, to do fraud prevention, to take credit authorization decisions, to take uh, to prevent money laundering. And a lot of hedge fund companies also now have started to use AI uh, to invest in futures, right? So uh, to invest in futures, to take decisions about the companies and those kind of things. So if I look at the current landscape of AI startups in India, there is around 2,200 plus startups, AI startups in India. In 2019, these startups collectively uh, raised around $760 million in equity funding, which was around 44% rise from the previous year, 2018. And if we look at the projection for the AI industry in India, it is going to be around $500 billion by the year 2025. And this is and just to get an idea of the scale, it is going to be about 10% of the uh, of the $5 trillion economy aspiration of Indian government. So that is a huge share. Like everyone knows that India is agriculture rich country. So if we have to compare, agriculture is currently contributing to about 17% of our GDP. And if AI and data industry is going to contribute to about 10% of that GDP, that is a huge share. So, uh, having said that, AI and machine learning is not a new thing. It is not that it has come up in these years, right? But now there is a lot of buzz around it. And why is that? So the main reason is the advancement in the hardware technology, right? The hardware that we have to process the data, to build uh, faster processing machines, and to build advanced and to train advanced machine learning models, we need faster processing power, and that has been enabled by the GPU, uh, the GPU that NVIDIA is creating over, and the CUDA library that the NVIDIA develops over its GPU. And this has enabled the rising field of deep learning, which is now disrupting every major industry. And so if you talk about computer vision, if you talk about natural language processing, if you talk about neural networks, uh, and every application of these in any major industry is now being disrupted. So if we look at the latest GPU of NVIDIA, we can see that it is giving us 50 times more processing power than a normal CPU. And that is a huge difference. If anyone would like to have an idea of uh, how this is going to make a difference. So like 50 times higher is going to give you real time decisions, right? It is very important in industry to get a real time decision making system, and that has been enabled by these lightning processing power of the GPUs. Okay, so let me talk about the broad classification of AI, and what are the technologies and what are the applications that we use in our everyday life, but we might be unaware of how AI is being leveraged in those applications. So if I have to broadly classify AI, there are three components to AI systems, right? The first is to sense. To sense means to collect data in any which way. It might be data from a video feed. It might be a data uh, uh, from my mic. It might be data from any sensors that industry is putting in its machines, uh, and identifying patterns in that data, right? So that that is one component of AI. The other component is to comprehend. Uh, so so like if I provide a text to my machine, I would like to understand what that text is saying. Am I audible?
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I thought there was some kind of. So the next stem of AI uh, is to comprehend
Yes,
and to make predictive decisions, right? So so like so the main technologies under this branch is natural language processing, speech to text conversion, machine learning technologies like deep learning, reinforcement learning. Uh, the last branch of AI is to act, right? So to make inferences from the data, to build expert systems, uh, to enable machines to have autonomous diagnosis of itself and error correction. Right. The applications of these branches that we use in our daily life is image or facial recognition, right? So if we are using facial recognition in our mobile, right, to unlock our phone, to use payment authorization or any kind of those things, these are all enabled by built-in AI in your devices, right? uh, the other kind of applications that we have is video analytics, uh, text analytics, uh, uh, deriving ontology from text, creating recommendation systems. Like, so if you go to Amazon, you buy certain things, right? You get recommended other products based on your buying pattern, right? And this is also enabled by a recommender system, which is basically a machine learning technique, right? The other kind of applications that we have is chatbots, virtual assistants, right? So chatbots, if you go to any modern website, you will see that a chatbot will come up to assist you uh, for the very first. Virtual assistants, like if you are using a Android phone, then you have okay Google Assistant on your phone, right? If you are using Amazon, uh, if you're if you're using Amazon services, then you have Alexa. If you're using iPhone, then you have Siri as your virtual assistant, right? And the other applications is in augmented reality. So if you are playing some game on PlayStation, uh, or if you are or if you are using a very advanced learning system, then you would see these augmented reality applications there also, right? So for a quick demonstration, I would like to show some applications here on my browser. So like, this is one of the video analytics uh, open source software which enables detection in a live video in real time. So just to show a demonstration, please watch this video. Live video in real time. So
I think the browser you're showing is not visible to us.
Can you share the screen again?
Uh, Maybe could you please check whether you are sharing your screen or not? I think the browser.
Yeah, now it's fine.
is it visible now?
Yeah.
Sorry, I think I was only sharing application.
Yes, now it is visible. Yeah, we can continue. Now it is visible.
So I hope everyone was able to see that. Was it visible, the video that I played?
Yeah.
So
Hello.
Yeah, just okay. So this is an application of deep learning technology called YOLO, which is built on convolutionary neural networks. What it does is that it takes a takes a video and it detects uh, objects in that video in real time, and it can detect over 80 objects in that video, right? So obviously this is not just possible uh, by the algorithm or the machine learning technique or just a simple GPU, right? So a lot of work has gone into it. If you look at the history of computer vision, you will see that it first started with a lot of universities in US, which started a open project where they used to collect data, and the whole community of students and independent workers have came together to make tagged images, right? Where you manually tag what an object is, and that has gone on for years. And using that data, now we are seeing that there is some advancement in the hardware as well as the algorithms, which has enabled the development of these kind of technologies, right? So one application of this of a CNN or convolutionary neural network in India, where Kolkata police is using this technology to monitor traffic in real time, and to see and to gather data on or to monitor the volume of the traffic inflowing or outflowing from a particular junction. So you can see that in real time it can detect objects in the video, and it can also classify those objects, right? So it can clearly, if you see, it can detect a small motor vehicle or a heavy motor vehicle like bus or truck, and two-wheeler systems. It can also detect two-wheeler systems like bikes. So if you can see that when this bike will cross, it will detect that also. So this is one application that is currently being used in India also. The other applications that I would like to talk about, so as already mentioned by Sumit, uh, there was this uh, AlphaGo machine that was developed by Google DeepMind, and it created a lot of buzz in AI industry, right? So for the first time, it was a fully automated artificial intelligence system trained using deep learning and reinforcement learning to play the most hardest game in this world. This game is called Go. Uh, why I say that it is the hardest game? Because unlike chess, this game has 10 to the power 170 possible combinations, and that is not something that you can build a rule-based system to uh, defeat world number one player. So what this company did, DeepMind, they created a AlphaGo system, which was a machine learning system that defeated world number one player 4 out of 5 times, and that was a huge advancement in the field of artificial intelligence. As everyone might know that before this, IBM's Blue Mind was a machine that defeated Gary Kasparov, uh, and it was considered as a very huge advancement uh, uh, when we talk about competitions between machine versus human, right? Uh, but one thing to understand there is that Blue Mind was not uh, a machine learning or a machine trained by machine learning algorithm, right? It was just a rule based system which calculated a lot of rules in real time. But AlphaGo is very different in that sense, uh, as it is a fully automated AI system that defeated human for the very first time. The other AI system that you will hear a lot of buzz around in internet is GPT-3, and you can also look at the website for GPT-3 dot website. You can go there and you can try the different features that GPT-3 is providing, right? So you can do app design from a description. You can create web pages by just giving a text description to it, and there are a lot more that this AI can do. This AI is developed by OpenAI organization, which was initiated by Elon Musk. So you can go to their website also and see a lot of interesting features that AI has enabled for customers. So coming back to my slide, uh, let's look at some of the AI startups in India, right? So I have listed those startups in two columns. The first one that I would like to talk about is the top funded startups, right? Um, so there is there. So these are top five most funded AI startups in India, which is using AI in their product or services in one sense or the other, right? So the first is Freshworks. You can visit each of these AI startups website and see what they are doing. But I'll just give you a quick overview. Freshworks is basically a cloud-based business management system. It provides customer support, IT service management, chatbots, sales and CRM software, project management, employee recruitment, and all of these are semi or fully automated, and all of these is enabled by AI. Um, then coming down to the second startup, which is ThoughtSpot. ThoughtSpot is basically a AI-based search-driven analytics company. What it does is that it analyzes company data and it produces reports and dashboards using a browser-based search interface, I would say. The other startup is Blackbuck. This is a Bangalore-based startup started in 2015. It is a AI-based marketplace for freight and transport booking. Uh, it is one of India's largest transport booking platform, and again, its services are also enabled by AI and machine learning. The other one that most of us might have heard either they might be using it, or they might have uh, seen the advertisement for this, is the Hike Chat. Again, Hike Chat application is a P2P messaging application, again powered by AI. Then there is this interesting company called iCertis. What iCertis is basically doing is that it is a cloud-based contract management software. So so basically you can understand, if you are building a contract management software, you have to read in through human text from those contracts. You have to understand what that text means. So a lot of natural language processing is being done by this company. If you look at the second column, I would also like to talk about some of the startups in India which is working on grassroots level, enabling enabling people in villages and in agricultural industry. So there is the startup called Cropin. What Cropin is it provides a full farm solution. It is an automated farm solution. It does risk management of for agriculture, like it does the forecasting for the agriculture yield, the traceability of the agriculture input, um, and other things among those. Uh, the other company is AgNext, which is again working for agriculture industry. Then there is Zentron Labs. Uh, Now Zentron Labs is again interesting, as it is a computer vision based. company. What it does is that it enables companies to have visual checking of their products. Uh, so currently, like if I'm a apple farmer, and then if I have to check each and every apple for their quality, what this company enables a farmer to, to visually check all the apples in their inventory and sort them by their quality. Again, another company that has created a buzz in the healthcare industry of India is Sigtable. This company was founded in 2015, located in Bangalore. Uh, so Sigtable is a company that uses computer vision to detect anomalies in human body from different uh, from different diagnostic reports like X-rays, the CT scans, uh, uh, the GI tube that uh, that captures the video of your whole intestinal system. Company working on grassroots level is Aqua Connect. So what this company is doing is that it is enabling. So one of its applications which uses AI is enabling shrimp farmers, mostly in South India. They enable any shrimp farmer by predicting what is the by monitoring what is the temperature of their pool, uh, what is the health of the shrimps that they are farming, uh, and that too in a real time basis. So all these companies, you can visit their website and see what they are doing. Um, but lastly, I would like to talk about the let's say so even when we have so much buzz around AI, uh, are we there yet? Are we there yet? As in, are we fully prepared to transform our industries uh, enter the fourth revolution of industry? Uh, Unfortunately, we are not. In India, although there is a lot of buzz around AI, our preparedness for the AI revolution is not yet there. But the good news is that the fuse is already lit. So we have already started uh, taking attention of this, and we have started to take measures to build our own AI capability. So if you look at these two, a few statistics of the businesses in India, where a lot of business in India was asked to what extent they believe that AI will transform their business. You would see that almost about 80% of the businesses in India thinks that AI is applicable to their business and it is going to transform their business. And when asked whether they are going to invest in AI in the next 3 years or 5 years down the line, then almost 88% of the companies agreed that they are going to make extensive to modest um, investments in their company to build their own AI capabilities. So what we can understand from this is that there is a lot of drive and there is a lot of requirement from the industry to have AI enabled systems in their company, right? But if we look at the statistics of the five pillar ecosystem that is required for AI development in any country, and if we look at India, so the yellow line in the bottom chart represents India, and for India we can see that although we are growing in the startups front, there are a lot of startups has now started to crop up in doing AI and analytics, uh, providing AI and analytics services. We still see that there is a lot of initiatives that need to be taken by policymakers by organizations, universities, and large companies to to train our to train our students on AI skills. Right, there is a huge requirement from the company side, but there is a lot of shortage from the skill side. Right, we are not able to provide that skill to the market right now. So there is a lot of opportunity, and uh, I would recommend that if anyone is interested in starting a career in AI or data analytics, they should start now. They should start, as Shekhar, as Sumit already mentioned, that uh, you have to start on your own, because there are not of because doing courses won't help you in AI. What matters in AI is your experience, and you will gain experience when you start doing projects. A good resource to start would be kaggle.com, which is already mentioned by Sumit. You can go to this website. You can look into a lot of open source data there. Also available notebooks. These notebooks are basically Python notebooks, uh, which has lot of codes in it. So you can go through those codes, and you can learn AI at a very fast pace. And if someone needs hand holding also, then there are a lot of courses available here also for Python, intro to machine learning, and other tools that you will need for uh, AI, for learning AI and machine learning. So that's it from my side. I hope everyone
Yeah.
know about the
Thanks once
landscape of
again.
AI.
This is some questions on the screen here
Okay.
from Pankaj Kumar. What is IoT system?
Okay. So IoT is basically Internet of Things. So what happens, like, IoT, let's say you have a lot of sensors installed in your machine, right? So there will be collection of data from those sensors.
Collection of data.
Uh, then you need some system to.
Some system to.
I think there is a bit of
I
echo.
think there is a bit of echo.
Hello.
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 Yes, your voice is audible.
Yeah. Okay. So Internet of Things is basically
Yeah,
a
okay.
lot
So
of
Internet of
devices.
Things is basically a lot of devices.
I think
I think there is a problem in his network.
So I can clarify it.
Yeah.
I can clarify it.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
sure, sure, sure.
Yeah.
this still
Sanjay.
not. Oh,
Still not. Uh,
continue on, Sumit.
Yes.
Continue
Like
on,
to
Sumit. You would like to.
I think if everyone can put their system on.
Your voice is.
I think if everyone can put their system on.
Yeah.
Hello. Am I audible now? So I think the question was about, okay, what is IoT, right? So IoT is basically called Internet of Things, where a lot of devices in your home or in your factory are trying to communicate with themselves to give the optimal output. Right? So there could be sensors which is collecting data, right? There could be processors which would be processing that data. That processor might be installed locally, or it might be in a cloud system, right? And then there would be machine learning algorithms which will be taking decisions to optimize your productivity, or to optimize the use of energy at your home. So that kind of system is called IoT system. I hope that.
Okay. Yeah. Would you also like to answer, Mr. Sumit,
I
sir?
have
Would you also like to answer, Mr. Sumit, sir?
Okay, so I can add on what Rajesh said. So if you want to generalize this, so like Internet of Things,
So I can add on what Rajesh said. So if you want to generalize this, so Internet of Things,
It's double voice.
yeah. So things like even like
otherwise,
anything which is network,
so
like CCTV,
things
you
like
can
even
have
like
10 CCTVs on
anything
same road, for
network,
example.
like CCTV, you can have
So
10 CCTVs.
that is also kind of
For
integrated
example.
system where
So
you can analyze
that
data
is
from
also
10
kind of integrated system where you can analyze data from 10
CCTVs and then
and just
make some
I
input.
have few questions.
CCTVs and then make some input.
I have also few questions from me both, and I wanted to know. Most of people said that for AI and ML, a particular Python programming language is necessary. So, is there any another way or another thing apart from Python?
Okay. Sumit, shall I take that question?
Am I audible? Is my question is clear?
Yeah. So
Yeah, the question is clear, but I think there's an echo.
Is there any alternative for Python? Just want to check from you guys. If you can better tell us.
actually, machine learning is not dependent
Actually,
on
machine
Python
learning
or
is
anything.
not
Uh,
dependent on Python or anything.
uh, so what you need is a
So
high processing
what you need
hardware,
is a high
and the
processing
other
hardware
and the other key component, uh,
and the other
sorry,
thing. Uh,
Sachin, if you
sorry,
can just put your system
Sachin,
on
if you
mute
can
because
just
there's a
put
lot of
your system
echo.
on mute because there's a lot of echo.
Yeah. So machine learning is not really dependent on any programming language as such. Uh, the main thing in machine learning or artificial intelligence is about collection of data and processing that data with a very high processing power, right? So you need a lot of hardware for it. uh, the programming language doesn't matter per se, but yes, but Python is recommended because there are a lot of open source, or there is a lot of contribution from the open source community for building a lot of libraries to develop, to implement algorithms, artificial intelligence algorithms, machine learning algorithms in Python. So as Sumit said, that a very fast uh, or a very fast coding is required in machine learning. Right? You don't want to spend a lot of time coding your algorithm. You just want something out of the box to just use the algorithms, right? So Python is a very good tool for that. So yes, Python is recommended, but it is not necessary. Java, C++, any such programming language is good for machine learning. Anything that can process data, basically.
Yeah, so one more thing which I'd like to add is like if you just want to like experiment, I mean, you can also use like, I mean, you would not believe, but I think Microsoft Excel is actually a machine learning tool. So basically, you get data there. Like, So basically, you can learn from, for example, Excel. Like most of the data is actually like the most common format in machine learning is called CSV format. So and Excel is TSV, so it's tab separated and this is comma separated. So essentially, it's a data format. So what you get in Excel is actually a data set. Like whatever you create in Excel sheet will be a data set, and then you can understand the concept of a data set there. Like each column or each row would be one feature vector. So that's kind of representing one data sample. And then whatever you do in Excel, for example, if you do row-based mean or column-based mean, so each of those things have some corresponding meaning in machine learning. So even if you want to understand things like basic things like logistic regression, so there are inbuilt function in Excel. I mean, if you have used Excel, then you can do things like mean square estimation, or you can do fitting of certain things, or you can do chart fittings. Like Excel can plot charts based upon the data series which is provided there. So all those things are basic machine learning. Like those are like light machine learning. It's called shallow learning, where you don't need any high processing computing. Like these are kind of 1980s systems where you want to put a regressor or like do some mean square estimation or standard deviation or mean. So those kinds of things are like basic machine learning tools which you can start. So if you want to start with that, I think that to understand concept, I think Excel is actually a good tool where you can start understanding this concept. And then I think Python takes place where, because when the data processing becomes large, like if you do images or a lot of text, or even the data series becomes like millions of data points, so then Excel basically is not scalable. So scalability is another factor in machine learning, where you would want to learn with as many data samples as possible. So for example, if you have millions, then you would not use Excel sheet for that. So then you would like to switch to Python, which can do fast processing or do things which can not be in an Excel sheet. And then obviously things like for computer vision or machine learning or natural language, you cannot do things in Excel anymore, like because of all those things require very dense computation. So those kinds of things, then you shift to proper Python programming, or I mean, there are things like C++, but I think C++,
dense
they're
computation.
less
So
good
those
now.
kinds of things, then you shift to proper Python programming, or I mean, there are things like C++, but I think C++, they're less good now.
Thank you, Sumit. It was a wonderful answers. And one more thing I would like to ask here, because we are organizing this program for the startups of Bihar, and also to empowering the startups and generating to more revenue and more employment in Bihar. Because all of the software organizations, I think AI-based organizations is very less in the city, Patna, and apart from the city in Bihar. And overall, if we are considering overall India, as you are shown in the chat also, and as we have said shown in the chat, where very less organizations are working on AI, and it is still it's not reachable to a common person. So just we are trying to providing some hand holding support and some mentorship programs to that institutions and that startups, so based on that they can grow further. So this is the main objective of this program. And because as I told you earlier also, there are so many startups where they are working on traditional only website development or some other things, but they don't have any idea of AI, how they can lead in AI. And nowadays AI is booming in the market, and the upcoming 5 years, you can say, as we have shown in the chart, upcoming 5 years is completely the market of machine learning, AI, neural networks, NLP, and all those. So we are growing fast. So just to keep the startup up to the mark, we will keep continuing this program on AI, and we need your further support and guidance to all the startups we have, and all the companies and all the persons, students, and institutions we are, to keep empowering them.
Yeah, so I would like to add one thing, like AI startup is actually not an easy task. Like if you are
So
saying in the
I
industry.
always need your guidance and support for this program.
Yeah, so
So,
I would like to add one thing.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, basically like I think the first thing which I think Brajesh also mentioned is like this universities which are not imparting all the knowledge to students which would make them AI compatible. So I mean one thing which I guess maybe BA can help is like kind of organizing some of workshops in colleges in Bihar to at least introduce them to hands-on machine learning. I think that's where even most of the engineers who have been working on traditional software, they don't have knowledge of hands-on machine learning. So I think that I would say will be a good first step. I think building startups in AI is another area which I guess will require more knowledge and more expertise, and leading it is another level of expertise requirement there. So I would not go that far right now because I think the basic steps to first build an ecosystem for AI, like that, I think is kind of missing right now in BR, where I think we should first start with organizing workshops for machine learning in different colleges, and and I think I've guided interns. I mean, some interns were from BR also, like Patna, Begusrai, all kinds of things, who come to Adobe Research for internships for 3 months every year. So I mean, lots of companies do these internships. So we have been doing this guiding internships for about 5 years now. So one thing is like these undergrads can learn quickly if you introduce them to the concepts initially, and then they get also excited very fast. So I think instead of selling huge concepts like startup in AI, I think first we should start selling concepts like hands-on machine learning and organizing real workshops for colleges in Bihar, maybe at a cost or something like that you can figure out how to do it. But I think that should be the first step, not building startups initially. Like that can come once your
When an
manpower
ecosystem
and
is
things
built.
are there. Yeah, you cannot
Yeah, so
start building
uh,
startup without meeting an ecosystem or people
exactly,
having
and
awareness of the thing.
this was the main objective for AI Center of Excellence to build an like a whole AI ecosystem in Bihar, and basically we all need further guidance and support from you all to proceed it further in a more planned way.
Yeah, I think if you can organize things like workshops and hands-on machine learning, that's like 1 hour, 2 hour task. I think
Yeah,
that's easy to duplicate thing. Like startup, I mean, right now also we are figuring like how to do startups. Like that is a different level of challenge because I mean, startup is not just building technology; it's also selling those things. So selling requires a lot more things than building. I mean, that I've learned by working at Adobe. So it's not
exactly,
about just doing maths or coding. So it's all about selling and whatever customer satisfaction is a different level of thing. So all those things are very hard thing to do. It's not easy. So I would not say that you should start with this. I mean, you can sell the pipe dream that you can do a startup in AI, but I think even if you do like awareness and building ecosystem so that students in colleges they compete among each other to learn AI, I think that by itself would be a good thing. I think if that actually starts happening at grassroots in BR colleges, I think right now there are 50 engineering colleges in BR, right? Every district has some college, and
exactly,
I'm not sure how much faculty they're having. So with a center like this, you can at least start a workshop in your, I mean, you can have
exactly,
a calendar for those things and start doing workshops for machine learning or some basic statistics, math kinds of workshops for 1 or 2 hours in those colleges and see you can do a competition like whatever, like do a small task, give a small task to those students, and whoever performs the best, you can do second round
exactly,
selection and then make them do more complex things. So that will be, I think, building that hierarchy would be much better than like starting with the startup. I mean, selling the start. I mean, you can sell the startup story, but that should come a little bit
yeah,
later.
exactly. No, no, this like we will continuing it like every week. I'll any workshop or any competition will be organized everywhere. We'll try our best. So, okay, once again, thanks a lot for joining us.
Yeah, and if you need any help, I can help. I mean, at least on weekend I can help. So if you
Sure,
want to organize
sure.
any hands-on coding or anything, I can. I mean, I've done it before, so it's not very hard. I can also set up things
Okay,
for others. And I
okay,
think that
sure,
a lot of
sure.
people can do it. So it's not very hard thing to do. So I think we just need to have that participation or those kinds of things.
Yeah, sure. We will connect you again. We can discuss once again after the session,
We can do a
further
competition
plan and all.
like do a small task, give a
So with this note, I would like to
second one
we
question, and
conclude the
then make
session.
them do more
Once
complex
again,
things.
thanks a lot
So
for
that would
joining
be, I
us.
think, building that hierarchy would be much better than like starting with the startup.
I think the
I mean,
situation is
selling the
still
start. I mean,
concluded.
sell the startup story, but that would come a bit later.
Okay, so we are concluding the session. Thanks a lot again.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
inviting us.
Thank you. Bye. Any workshop or any competition will be organized everywhere. We'll try our best. So, okay, once again, thanks a lot for joining us.